Hello everybody, today I've got another deck for you and we're going to be doing some Scoia'tael, some Elves, some Broover. And now this is a deck that I did show in my last video. It is a very good deck, very strong one, one that Kolemoen has been playing, or at least a very similar list to this one, I've been told. So yeah, we're going to be playing this, seeing how good it is, and yeah, it's pretty damn strong, relying on a lot of elf synergy, and actually not your typical tempo plays, things like Chironex, Unicorn, and Witches, they're not present here. My signature horn as well, not going to be included. Instead, yeah, we're just relying on a lot of elves, some nice Shiru finisher value, and Isengrim in a long round with your elf core. So, pretty cool deck. I'm sure you've seen versions of Broover at this point all over the place. And this is definitely one that you can give a go if you're, feeling like that. And yeah, I just wanted to, of course, showcase it, get some gameplay as I always do. So, what are the cards? Well, been over it already, but yeah, we've got elves, of course. Shiru, Ithlin are kind of your very high curve elves, pretty good amount of points for the provisions that they represent, especially Shiru. He is, of course, very strong with your Broover ability, able to buff him up should you need that. You also have Ithlin, synergizing with him, maybe making him a 6 if you need that, although often that will maybe make it harder to actually get Shiru value if you aren't able to put him at 4 strength, if your opponent is playing a lot of 4 strength units. So Ithlin can just be a carryover card, pretty good value, whatever, and it's an elf, of course, which helps. We have Professional there as well for a little bit of nice solid removal on big chunky targets. Very good against a lot of stuff. You can maybe manipulate strength with Broover and your other elves to make sure you get the value on him. We then have Call of the Forest as well, which synergizes with Shiru. If you need to hit the odd strength units, then you can definitely go for that. I think it's usually safer to play him without the Call of the Forest, but it's always there. It makes sense with Aelin in the deck. You can maybe pull out Isengrim, Melaine, Ida, all sorts of different, good things, as well as, yeah, Shiru, Ithlin as well. And yeah, just makes sense when you've got Aelin and Elves in your deck. We, of course, have all these high-ish provision Elves as well. We've got Isengrim, Melaine, Ida, Artifact removal, and just that pure elf synergy that we love to see. We've got a lock in Ciaran, we've got some engine value in Milva, we've got more removal in Yavin, and just a good amount of points from that. There's Brigade in there as well, and this is synergizing really well with Broover, of course. If you don't need to use your leader charges on Shiru to get him to the right strength, you can instead spend them on this guy, get you a bunch of free points effectively. Pretty damn good card as a one-of. We have one officer as well. Solid, doesn't have to damage the enemy units, can boost your own, which is very helpful sometimes in those short round 3 situations. Can actually come in clutch being a boost as well as a damage effect, unlike some stuff like Bowman, Archer, etc. We have Sappers for the second piece of artifact removal. You can, in theory, deal with, double spear should your opponent be playing that, so that's pretty nice. And then the rest of the elves are pretty straightforward. We have, of course, Vanguards to synergize with the amount of elves we have. Neophytes to pull out Aelin. I forgot to even mention Aelin, but we do have Aelin, of course, in an elf deck. Neophytes will help to get her out, and they get nice value with Yavin and Isengrim. We have Swordmasters to give a little bit of engine value. They're often going to get dealt with, but some decks, things like monsters maybe, are not able to properly destroy these, so a lot of the time you can get nice value from them, or bait out opponents' removal that they then can't use on just killing stuff later on, and maybe denying you some Isengrim value later on. So they're there. Really good with tactical advantage as well if you're on blue coin, able to maybe make them immune to getting marauded or something, or damaged by a 4 damage effect. Of course, Dragoon and the rest are pretty straightforward, just a bit of damage effect, able to line up units to the same strength for Shiru and all that good stuff. So, all in all, pretty straightforward deck, but quite powerful. The elf synergy is definitely making this deck one of the best Scoia'tael decks to be running at the moment. We'll see if that translates into wins in the gameplay. So yeah, let's roll into that. Alright, we're going to be against good old Emir. Probably Shoop. I think Shoop is the most popular kind of Emir deck to be around these days. And we can probably mulligan Aelin right off the bat. The only brick in the deck. We can of course deal with that, and then we're probably just going to mulligan an elf that we deem to be not too valuable. Probably Bowman is a good pick for that. The Neophytes are of course fine, they'll get Aileron out. Proactive play if we need it. And the archers are quite nice to destroy things or line up strength. We don't really need to line stuff up in the early rounds, but you know,
My boots got sand up.
can for example maybe kill this Magni division. Although Ciaran's also an option there. I think we will go with an archer to start with here. We could also Mullane, but I kind of want to Ithon it and then use that as a sort of finisher later on. A nice chunky 12-point card. That'll be pretty cool. And we won't buff the Shiru, I don't think. It's a bit dangerous. Interesting to note, it's actually quite hard to play this deck. I've played quite a bit of it now, and there's a lot of sequencing decisions that are pretty tricky. You know, whether you go with your Milver, your Vanguard, your whatever first as a play, and then when you get into the later stages, how you sequence for Shiru and everything it can be really quite difficult. So of course we don't, you know, kill it with the Archer there, but now we have the option to Officer, and I think we go for that. It's a decent, you know, thing to remove and shoot. Getting rid of that engine is really nice. We can then use the lock on another engine, maybe the Nausicaa Brigade, for example. I mean, locking it might have also been perfectly fine. I think it wouldn't have been a problem. Either way, going to be Witches and Roach. That's a lot of points. So probably next we want to go with that Ithon if we're, you know, caring about the carryover value. We of course aren't actually falling too far behind because we have Neophytes and they can pull Aileron out. So in reality that's a really high tempo play, 9 points. So, you know, we might have to pass soon, but depending on how far behind we are, yeah, we can make that decision. Shubis are quite a scary one. They've got a lot of tempo and, you know, not a small amount of points in, you know, round 3 or whatever with the Shoop, of course. So we have 9 with the Neophyte plus Aileron, and then we would need to play another Elf. If we play Archer, it's not going to be enough, only 5 points. If we play Ida, it's going to be 7 plus 9, which also won't be enough. So, considering none of our plays really actually will get us ahead in 2, I mean, we can definitely think about doing it in 3. I think for that reason we probably are okay to go with the Neophyte here. We will be able to get all the way down to 4 cards and just dry pass and be okay in that situation, I think. Would rather win this round than lose it, of course. Having last say with Shiru is very, very ideal. That is what you want. But we'll see what happens. Gonna just be Slave Driver. Sure thing. We're getting some removal out from him, which is maybe a good thing. Now again, we've got this 9-point play. We can get ourselves to 18, and then we would need an 8-point play after that to take the round. Now I do think it's like really, really good if we can get the last say here. So I'm going to keep playing on, see what we can make happen. Also, I think thinning Aileron out isn't necessarily bad for us. It will make the mulligans better, of course. He's probably going to want to play on here, I think. Eventually we might be able to threaten some kind of you know, win on even. With the Gimpy coming down though, I don't think that's going to be the case. And in reality that's going to push us out of the round. Not the worst result, but also not the best result here. We didn't have, you know, any real way to push the round. We didn't have Vanguards, we didn't have Milver, we didn't have a Swordmaster surviving or anything like that. So kind of no engine value in that round. Hopefully the next few rounds will be better in that regard. And here we probably will play the Bowman if our opponent chooses to pass. So I think I'm going to mulligan Archer, trying to look for some slightly better cards. And then Swordmaster probably now becomes our play, so we'll mulligan the Bowman instead. Worth noting that Milver's actually not an elf. I always make that mistake. She is not, in fact, an elf. But we can play her here. The opponent looks like they want to actually push this round, which is a bit weird, but kind of makes sense when you're up against Shiru and all those shenanigans. Alright. Nausicaa's going to get some nice value, but we can probably just lock it now. We will miss out on a little bit of Vryheid value. But we kind of make up for that in him not getting another boost on this. I think it's okay. Also, locking it at 4 strength is pretty good, potentially. Shoop will also come out at 4. We can maybe hit Asaya down to 4 and get a really nice Shiru off. We'll see what option he goes for. He's going to go for the damage, try to clear all this up. Makes sense. And return it to hand, of course, as the shoot players do. We could actually think about playing professional onto Asaya. I don't mind that. But in reality, getting our engines out is also very important here, I think. He's just going to play Orcs on a bare board here, which is interesting. I think all this probably indicates is he just wants to go for that 2-0, right? And he might have Seret to deal with the Swordmaster, I suppose. We could even consider moving it. I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, I kind of like it. I really want this to be able to damage the Orcs, and the reason we play it on back row is, of course, it's melee locked, so need it to be working. Now, we could take a pretty good pass here, I think. But we can always get ahead with, you know, Shiru and stuff like that. Oh, okay. Wow, he's really going all in here. That's interesting. Very interesting. So, of course, we'll play the Vanguard now. We know Unicorn is the card he has in hand. I think a pass from him here would be very, very powerful. Because we have a 4 on the board now, it's making it difficult to, you know, get the appropriate value that we need from our stuff. Interesting. So here, I think we probably can play Malane just to lock everything up at 4 strength. I kind of like that. It will mean professional doesn't get value, so the more gambly play here, I guess you could say, is to play the professional. I think he's going to keep playing. He'll probably keep playing the way he's played it here, right? Maybe he won't. But I think I'm going to go with the professional. Now if he passes here, we might be in trouble. I don't think Shiru actually gets us ahead, so... Okay, it seems like I was right. He does continue playing. And he doesn't play around Shiru at all either, which is pretty damn nice for us, I must say. So we can basically clear his whole board with Shiru plus Bruver. And I think we're going to line all this stuff up now. We know his last card is Shoop. Unfortunately, I still have to damage one of his other units. A little bit of a bummer. This will give us quite a bit more value from the Shiru. Presumably, you know, if Shoop is being played, okay, it's not. So we're just going to be able to clean up this board with the Shiru quite nicely. And actually, not a bad result. In reality, the Shoop is going to wreck me in round 3. I'm not really sure how to deal with it at the end of the day. If we can keep a Bruver charge, that would be lovely. And it looks like we can. So let's do that. Alright, tricky, tricky stuff. So what do we really want here? I don't know. Honestly, our cards are not looking too great. And of course, that Shoop can just kind of shut us down very easily. I think Yavin will be quite bad here, because we're not going to have elves to actually deal damage with. And Vanguard is probably not great either, although Call of the Forest might even be worse. It's possible that it will be even worse. Then again, I mean, we can at the very least, we can pull something like the Brigade to get some value from that, so I think we'll go for this mulligan. But this is looking very bad, guys, I must say. Just not really having many points in the round 3. Shoop has a pretty good matchup against Bruver in reality. Although, it's hard to tell, isn't it? So, Shoop is dealing how much damage? Quite a lot. I think quite a lot is the amount. I wonder if it's worth Call of the Foresting now. I think we'll go with Ida. We'll go with Ida. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure Shoop doesn't clear this up, right? So, That'll make Call of the Forest better, hopefully. Maybe it does clear it all up and I'm just dumb, I don't know. Okay, it doesn't. It is only 9 damage. I mean, only, quote unquote, only 9 damage. Let's play this guy then. I mean, in theory we can win if he has a couple of really, really bad cards here. Rod Tosser is in fact quite bad. Really bad, actually. Interesting. We don't have any beasts in our deck, right? But we can either shuffle the sappers. So let's think about exactly how we get the most points here. What is the most points I can get from a play? Well, it's going to be 5. Now we lose 2 if we shuffle this. But then we gain 2 back effectively on the other play. I don't think it matters, guys, whether we move this or shuffle it, basically, is what I'm saying. Either way, we're going to end up dealing the same amount of damage or getting the same amount of points. And in reality, this is a pretty tiny play. Doesn't really matter which one we take, I don't think. They're both dealing the same amount of damage. So guys, we might actually tie if he has another 4-drop. If he has a very bad card here. Alternatively, it's just going to be a very close game, I think. He did use like most of his powerful cards earlier, so might end up being a tie. Oh, it looks like we actually do win. So perhaps his last card was just not good enough, I imagine. Cool. That was really close. I'm actually surprised we managed to take that, but I think some really good decision making there led to the victory. Probably a bad matchup though, I would say, after after playing through that. Alright, let's get into the next game and see if we can win another. And it looks like another Emir matchup. Well, we'll see. Maybe this time it won't be so good for us. Maybe we won't get the win, but who knows. Alright, again with the mulligans. We're really happy to see the Vanguards. I think they're going to allow us to push round 1 quite heavily. Bowmen, on the other hand, are a bit meh, to be honest. So I think we get rid of 1, maybe even 2 here. Yeah, I don't mind getting rid of the second. We, of course, have this nice synergy going on with this Ingram, and our artifact removal probably won't do much here, so I'll get rid of that as well. Now, we can definitely start with Milva here. It's immune, doesn't care about his removal, etc. And you will get extra points if you play Milva before the Vanguard, so that's worth keeping in mind. Definitely a nice thing to go with there. So this isn't that threatening, we can always remove it with Geralt at some point. We could definitely play the Swordmaster now if you want to use its damage, but I think going the Vanguards is a little bit safer. We'll play on back row because of the possibility of Alba Spearman, although probably they'll hit the Swordmaster at some point anyway. Gonna be Enforcers, which are kind of annoying. If we had played the Swordmaster first, that wouldn't have been an option for the opponent. But I'm not too sad, honestly, about this. I think we just go with another Vanguard while we can. Next turn's going to be our Geralt turn anyway, so not going to be able to remove the Enforcers anyway, and not really too sad about that either. I guess I could have moved it with Bruva, but using Bruva charges feels quite bad in round 1, as I'm sure everyone knows at this point. And I mean, we're pretty far ahead. We can always pop Aileron out of the deck this round if we have to. Otherwise, Geralt is looking pretty nice here just to shut down his engine, secure us a pretty nice lead, get the value on that card that sometimes can be hard to get value from, and yeah. We really, really want to win this round if possible. It's going to make Shoop a lot less powerful, I guess we can say. There's the mashed potatoes and thick gravy. I think now we can go with our engine, buff it up with the advantage from all our tacticalness, and then we can go ahead, maybe even play another one here. See, he has used the 2 removals, so we're kind of only waiting on lock now. Lock on this would have been quite powerful, but in reality I think we're fine to just go with another one of these. Kind of not the best card for later on in the game, because if they get removed, they're like trading down really badly with the opponent's cards. So I think we're fine just to play it, and kind of, yeah, get rid of a quote-unquote bad card there. Now we can Neophyte and actually pull Aileron out of the deck, but first, of course, we're going to do some damage with the Elf. You always want to fire its shot before you play an elf card, right? Because then you get the extra cooldown for free. Allows it to effectively shoot every turn, which is pretty neat. And the aileron popping just gives us so many points. That's going to be pretty strong. Now, probably Isengrim is looking quite nice. I think if we don't go with him, he's going to be, you know, not as good later on in the game, and we're still very interested in winning the round, I think. Again, of course, remembering to shoot first and then play the elf. It's good, and that's just so many points. I think it's very difficult for him to catch up here and take the round. Rot Toss is about the only thing that'll do it. If he does play Rot Tosser, or Regis, okay. Fair enough, Regis gets there. Now we could think about Call of the Forest. I don't mind that play, actually. We will be a little bit reliant on then drawing the Shiru, but we can put Aileron into our deck, and it will come straight back out, so that's quite a nice use. Effectively means the Cool won't actually shuffle something into our deck. And we probably want to play the Ithlin, I think, just to get a bit of carryover if the opponent does pass now, which they might. I think it's fair to say that they might not want to commit, you know, their cards here. Again, whoops, I should have... God, it's hard to remember to do that every time. I should have shot first, of course. It shouldn't really matter, though. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe we need an extra point here. Who knows? In all likelihood, we're going to pass here, though. I suppose. Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
The Nordling's hatred for us will...
There is going to be a Peter. Okay, I mean, the opponent really wants to win this round by the looks of things. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, because either way, if we're playing a card here, we still get the shot with the Swordmaster. And is it worth it? Well, I think it probably is, guys. I think it probably is. Most likely we won't lose on even. If that was going to be a thing, then probably would have already lost on even, right? If we do, then it will probably cost him his leader ability, which I'm not too sad about. And if not, then we're just winning this round. The rest of our cards aren't amazing, but if we can get to the Shuru, if we get to Mullane and things like that, we're always going to be okay. And, I mean, even Brigade is a very, very powerful finisher if we don't find these Shuru. We're going to, of course, take Mulligans onto Neophyte and Archer to try to find our Shuru here. We might not get it, but that's maybe not the end of the world. Maybe not the end of the world. Of course, Bruver plus the Brigade is just so many points, right? You get effectively 12 from Bruver. And 5 from the card itself, so 17-point finisher. It's almost as good as the Harold combo, actually. I think we'll take the pass here. No reason to play a really low tempo card and maybe give up card advantage. Instead, we'll take the pass. Hopefully, he doesn't get rid of Shuru. Getting rid of Mullane is also kind of bad news, but it does thin our deck a little bit. Maybe it allows us to get to Shuru a little bit more reliably. Now, most likely, the Shoop won't get him a huge amount of value here. If we can focus on removing his points rather than creating our own, then the Shoop won't really do much. Shuru does get drawn, that is very nice to see. We can get rid of the Sappers, not going to be great. And then probably the Neophyte also won't be too good. Got quite a lot of damaging effects, which could bite us. You know, if things play out in a certain way, we'll see.
I shall do as you command.
Sire is going to be his first play, makes sense. Get the Roach out. And I think we just deploy and kill the Roach. We're never really going to be killing 2s here, so there's no point putting his units to 3. At that point it'll be too difficult for us to line stuff up for Shuru, so we'll keep her at 6. She can always be bopped down to, you know, a clean number of points. We can actually just damage here, but I do think Ida's probably a little bit better. It will be a 4, but, you know, we can always actually damage it with our own Archer if we need to, or use Bruver to make it no longer a 4-strength unit. And if we can, we just don't want to, you know, put that Sire to even numbers. That would make life a little bit difficult. Shoop will get eaten up by Shuru as well, so that's cool. That's going to clear up all of our elves, unfortunately, but not the end of the world. Not the end of the world by any means. Having last say is just so important because we can use a ton of points with Bruver, Shuru, whatever, Brigade, and the Shoop won't really be able to deal with that stuff. particularly if we get a big Shiru. And he's actually not going to replay the shoot. That is very surprising. And in fact, him not doing that makes me really, really want to take a Shiru here, actually. If we can destroy his shoot, I don't see him having a card to replay that's actually very valuable. So I think I'm going to do that here. It might be a bit of a gamble, in reality. But if we can deny his leader ability, you know, pretty much entirely, then I think it's going to be worth it. I might lose some value on the Shuru now, but as, you know, as long as the Emir is not worth many points, then we should be winning here, I think. Maybe not. Kyronex is definitely not bad here. And he can return that one to hand, of course. Unless we remove it. And removing it is a consideration. It will, of course, allow him to just play Unicorn, but maybe he doesn't have it in hand. I mean, I guess if he's not replaying the Shoop, that's the read we maybe have to make. And honestly, it might have been wrong to play the Shuru there in that case, to be honest. I think we'll go with the Archer now. I don't want to damage this too much, otherwise it gives his Emir too much value. If that's the one he wants to replay. And of course I want to Brew it onto my Brigade. If I can do that. Rot Tosser can also kind of be annoying here. I mean, we're not going to be able to deny it, really. Won't represent a good replay for him, but I guess at the end of the day we are quite, you know, lacking in points, actually. Without the really, really big Shuru value, a lot of his plays here are going to be, you know, 8+ points, which is kind of scary. Alright, that is a slave inventory. And I think that represents a pretty good bowman play. We'll see what the opponent goes with, but most likely we are losing here, unfortunately. Bruva's 4, this is 5, so he only needs a couple of points. He can pretty much just get that by replaying the slave infantry, actually. Gonna replay Orcs though, which is a bit strange. Maybe he has Vanhamar in hand, I guess. That's most likely what's going on. But all in all, pretty close. Oh no, he actually just has Unicorn and messed up, I guess. I don't know. Very weird. Okay, I mean, he still wins. We're quite far behind in points. I think at the end of the day, probably playing the Shuru early was a mistake. We should have just saved that for the very end. But okay, you live and you learn. It was pretty close still. And yeah, as I said, I think this is kind of a tough matchup, so whatever. Alrighty. Win and a loss, as I usually get these days. 50% win rate, boys. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the gameplay, guys. And that is this Kolemoen deck. Pretty good one. It's quite difficult to play, but fun when it works. And it does work quite a lot of the time. Anyway, hope you had a good one. Hope you have a good one. And I'll see you guys next time.